All right, so yeah, we are talking about
something
wild.
Whoa!
Nice. Okay.
Well, you can tell, I don't know if anybody can tell by my excitement, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
I bought this because he thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
I remember this was a couple years ago when we worked at a movie stop, or I think I worked at a movie stop and you hadn't worked there just yet.
No.
I had seen it and I was just like, dude, you gotta watch this movie. It's
no,
so
you
good.
you never told me about it till years later when I worked at movie stop.
Yeah,
you didn't.
But I was just like, I told you, you gotta see this movie
because it was coming out on the Criterion collection. You were like, dude, you gotta see it.
Yeah, and I knew being a Criterion fan like you are, I knew it was like, okay, it's Criterion now, so like he's gonna watch it eventually, you know, get it done sooner or later. So Something Wild is this awesome movie starring Jeff Daniels and Melanie Griffith, and so Jeff Daniels is this like uptight businessman, you know, by the book, follows the rules, doesn't deviate from the norm, and here comes this girl Lulu. Melanie Griffith, who I guess, she's taken by him, kind of, there's a thing about him,
She's a free spirit.
Very free spirit. The freest of spirits.
And opposites attract, Scott.
Yes. And she takes him on this adventure, I would say kicking and screaming. Because, he's down, but, like, the deeper they go and the further they go, the more he's trying to, like, resist till he realizes, you know what, I'm a little too deep into this.
Well,
might as well just go for the ride.
It's another one of those, like, she sees something in him. She goes, he has this kind of undercurrent of rebellion when when the beginning of the movie he's at a deli and doesn't pay for his food. And she catches him.
Yeah, calls him out on it, too.
Calls him out on it, and he becomes a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And then she goes, it's all right, dude. I don't work there. And then, you want to ride? And he takes the ride, and that's a down the rabbit hole kind of setup if I ever saw one.
And the thing is like, this is an idea that I think anybody can relate to. We all have that side of us, that rebellious side that we either show off behind closed doors, or we wish we had, that we know, if only we had this, or if only it were this way, we would let it out. And I think this movie is a great embodiment of that, and like the ups and the downs of letting it out. You know what I mean? Because they have great highs and they have great lows too, and it's just a wild ride, man.
It's like it's almost like a grown-up John Hughes movie.
A little bit.
And then it completely like shifts genres. Like,
it's
halfway into the movie.
Honestly, I feel like it shifts genres a couple times. Because when you start it off, it's kind of like the Odd Couple road trip movie.
Yeah, it's like it's also kind of a romance, like whirlwind kind of deal.
And that's what I was gonna say. When you get to her hometown and you realize that Lulu is actually Audrey, that's when I feel like it starts becoming like a more romantic film. Not so much a romantic comedy, but more of a romantic drama kind of film.
I mean, if you wrote the genres out, you would be writing like comedy, road movie, romance, drama, and then you get even further after the reunion.
Yes, because the reunion, not only is it a reunion for her high school, but it's also a reunion between her and her.
Turns on a dime at this point.
All because of Ray, played by Ray Liotta. Really branching out there, Ray. But he's great. I mean, the thing about Ray Liotta is he has a great face for a villain or a good guy, depending on how you use him and how he's portrayed. And I think this was a great example of Ray Liotta being a good bad guy. But at the same time, you can kind of understand what motivates him, and you can kind of say, like, well, I don't necessarily agree with what he's doing, but I can see why he's doing it. You can feel what he's feeling, and you can kind of justify why he's doing it, even though you can't justify what he's doing.
Right. And it turns into a thriller at this point.
Yeah.
And it turns into like a kind of a kidnapped damsel in distress kind of movie.
Yeah, and you got Audrey playing both sides, because on the one hand,
and that's when you find out that Jeff Daniels' character is also not as honest as... Because it's a weird, like, everybody has a surface level.
Yeah.
And then you got the level underneath. And it doesn't get stripped away until about 3/4 the way through the movie about.
Yeah, and it feels natural, too. Like, it doesn't feel like... Like none of these, like, reveals or none of these moments ever feel like... You know, oh, here's the part of the movie where we have to do it. It just happens so naturally that, like, you know, they could say anything at that point, and you'd be like, all right, fine, I'm going with this.
And I think this is where you can see, like, Jonathan Demme directed it, and then he ends up doing Silence of the Lambs in a few years.
Which is a great, like, turn you go from this movie to that. But you can see aspects in this movie that made sense for him to do it.
Around the same time, Ray Liotta goes from this movie... And around the same time as Silence of the Lambs, Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. He's a likable, charismatic bad guy.
Yeah. And not long after that, Jeff Daniels went from this to Dumb and Dumber, which showed off the comedic side, which he was showing off at the beginning of the movie.
And I would even go as far as, like, showing that he can carry a whole movie around the same time, actually. Arachnophobia.
What was that one movie he did? Like Purple Rose of Cairo he did too.
Yeah, that was kind of a...
Arachnophobia and Dumb and Dumber all within, like, not... Like, and then this movie, so, like... And I think that's why I respect Jeff Daniels so much, is, like, he's a guy, he can do... To me, he can do anything. If you come up with if you put him in a role, you ask him to do something, and he'll be able to do it and do it very well.
And he's done both good guys, bad guys,
comedy, drama, romance. I mean, you name it.
Movies. He's on the Newsroom.
Yeah, like you name. Actually, that speech he gave on Newsroom about America, probably one of the greatest speeches I've ever heard in a TV show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you've got a great cast here. You got Jeff Daniels, who is this great example of, like, the uptight guy with a secret who slowly, you know, he gets comfortable, starts revealing it. You've got Melanie Griffith, who's the free spirit with a backstory, you know, somebody who's, like, they have a secret or second life or whatever that they're trying to hide, and they're doing everything they can to keep it hidden until they can't anymore.
Everybody's running from something in this movie.
Well, except Ray. Ray's running to something.
No. He's running away from the law.
Well, he's running away from the law, yeah, but
they never reveal how he got out, which leads me to believe he probably broke out.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, look at him.
Yes.
And I mean, not just that, but look at the lengths he went to just to catch up with them, and what he went through once he got a hold of them. I mean, like, if you want to talk about specific scenes, I mean, you know, obviously there's the famous scene in the hotel room where, you know, she's got him all handcuffed to the bed, and you're like, oh man, you know, and then she just like. She calls his office and everything. Like, that was great.
I thought it was going to go in a much more cliche route.
Yeah, and then I realized that's why it's in the Criterion Collection, because it's not that kind of movie. It's like it takes these tropes and then actually makes a good movie out of it.
I'm surprised because it's not really a mainstream movie for that. It might have been really popular and it might have won,
like when it came
been
out,
nominated for some awards. But it's not really a mainstream movie.
And it should be, because it has everything that a mainstream movie like this needs, but it has those little extras that make you remember it. I mean, I've only seen the movie like 3 times in my life, but I remember so much from that movie. Like, especially a little cameo from our fellow Baltimore boy, John Waters.
John Waters, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, he's the used car dealership owner.
Yeah, he's the one that she goes to buy the bargain car, because it says bargain on it.
Yeah. It is a bargain.
And she starts paying him in cash, and he asks her for papers and proof of insurance, and she gives him another $100 to forget about it. Yeah.
What else?
One of the great things in the movie is the soundtrack.
Yes. Oh, God.
One of the incredibly underrated parts of this movie.
I can't remember. Is Talking Heads on the soundtrack?
Dave Byrne does the theme song at the very beginning.
Dave Byrne. I couldn't remember if it was Talking Heads or just Dave Byrne, but I know at the very least he was responsible for a lot of the music on the soundtrack. There's a lot of
really interesting picks.
It's really good. I think a lot of it really enhances the moments, even the instrumentals. Because I mean, like, Dave Byrne has that, like, world music kind of sound that he incorporates with, like, rock. That it's very Dave Burns, very Talking Heads. You know it when you hear it. As soon as you hear it, you're like, okay, I know who did that.
Yeah, and
it just works.
And they pick like other like lesser known kind of songs, and
well, lesser known.
And then there's the part where the Jamaican woman at the end is like rapping.
Yeah.
Outside the deli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like I remember like the scene where they're at the gas station and he's trying to get the disguise. So he can hide out from Ray, and he's just buying all the shitty like gas station clothes just to cover himself up. I thought that was really good. But I think the great
borrowed again in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much. I think the Virginia for Lovers shirt was also in Pulp Fiction.
I think you're right.
If you need more proof that Quentin Tarantino likes to steal.
Well, hey, just remember, filmmakers steal. Great filmmakers fucking rip them off. I don't know if we cuss on Criterion Creep, so we can always censor that. But the scene near the end, when, you know, Ray finally catches up to him, and, like, you just had that epic showdown, because throughout the whole movie, like, Jeff Daniels never expresses any kind of, like, tough guyness. I don't even think he gets into a real fight, if I remember correctly.
He takes every beating pretty much.
But I'm like, when he's finally like taking matters into his own hands, and just how light we start at the beginning to how dark we get at the end.
And at the very in the climax of that scene, like, it's not something he wanted to do, but was forced to.
Yeah, and you can see it on his face. Like, once he takes Ray out, he's just looking at him. Now, he's just looking like, you know, like, holy, like, what have I done? Like, why did it come to this? And that's why Jeff Daniels is a great actor.
And then there's, like, a denouement, like, after the climax, like, after the cops come and everything. You sit there and you're like, I really want these two people together.
Yeah.
You get sneakily, like, suckered into this relationship.
Yeah.
Because you realize you're like, they see the best in each other, and they deserve it.
And not only do they see the best in each other, but they've seen the worst in each other as well.
Well, I guess it's about that time. Do you skip, rent, or buy?
Oh, I'd buy this thing in a heartbeat. I think everybody should buy it. It's a movie where I think everybody needs to see in their life at least once. And I'm not trying to overhype it. I'm not saying it's the greatest film of all time. I just think it's one of those movies that I think anybody can watch, get something out of, and just thoroughly enjoy. This movie is a great addition to anybody's movie collection.
I'm going to go with buy as well. All right. Well, take a look and hit the subscribe button, comment on the video, let us know what you think, let us know if there's any Criterion movies we should be reviewing on the show, and see you next time.
Bye, guys.
What the hell?
What?
I was supposed to do the review!